G'day, I'm Jacob Morgan. I'm known as Darling Fascist online. It is unlike me to make a video like this simply because I do not want to be too much of a serious music channel. I'd rather just have fun with music. But I think talking about My Chemical Romance and the cultural revolution of My Chemical Romance is important, especially when coming to terms with Bob Bryar's death and the tragic circumstances that came with it. For myself, I am speaking from my own mind and my own observations on it, but it comes from really more of an intellectual point of view. I do have a postgraduate degree in creative practice and a Bachelor of Music, so I'm not exactly, well, if I had to be blunt about it, I'm not an idiot. I at least know something. That in mind, understand term cultural revolution. When My Chemical Romance first came out within the mid-2000s, roughly, there was already emotive punk, but it wasn't part of the mainstream culture, so you didn't even have emos. That didn't come till much later as well. Understand that My Chemical Romance, along with Fall Out Boy and Panic at the Disco, and I'm going to add Paramore in there because it should be a big four and not a holy trinity. Paramore is just as important. That at that point in time we had nothing like that. We had goths that had been around since the 80s and late 70s, but nothing like the emotive punk movement. It was goths were never mainstream. Let's just say that. Emos were though. Going off of that, when it came to My Chemical Romance's cultural revolution, it was huge. I'm from New Zealand, and usually we're late to trends. That's one of the big things about New Zealand, but due to the internet and the travelling of information being more prominent around here, you could listen to My Chem. And we were all part of the same scene, like worldwide. Every emo looked exactly the same no matter where you went. So understand how big My Chemical Romance's influence was on the world as an entirety. So going off of that, just imagine the high it would have been at that time. And this comes in with Bob Bryar. So basically, this is a band that was basically at the top of their career, probably one of the most popular bands around at the time. A really massive high. It's like 3 heavily successful studio albums. They did have one album before, which was not as successful, but it was still loved by the fans. And you had this big high, right? So to come off of that, everyone from My Chem had either left or went on hiatus. Frank Aero did a band called Leathermouth for a wee while. Gerard Way, of course, created the Umbrella Academy. And Bob Bryar went to become a real estate agent, which is very interesting, but of course, you don't have to do music even if you love music. Simple as that. I think the more disappointing part of the entirety of his death, though, is following from that massive high, and then for him to swoop down to a place so low that he ended up, for YouTube reasons, unaliving himself of his own accord. And I think it really speaks a lot to the loneliness he would have felt as well, because he wasn't found till 2 weeks later by complete strangers. Animal control, right? These are the facts that have been given out to us, and I just think of how sad that is. Basically going from the biggest point in the world to the lowest place you can be, which I think really sucks. Understand that from a cultural significance point of view, I think that Bob Bryar's death is probably one of the biggest events within this year. I do not think anything else can top it, just because of the cultural significance of My Chemical Romance. It doesn't matter whether you like them or not, just understand that they were big. I also find it interesting the amount of people who don't know who they are. I was talking to a co-worker about the death, and he had no idea who I was talking about. He was a young teen lad, but it's just amazing that within that amount of time people have forgotten. But honestly, I think the big takeaway from this is that if you are feeling low and like that, like he did, You need to speak out and talk to people. It's really hard to. I know I've been in some deep, dark places, and it sucks. I think, especially in terms of loneliness in this whole circumstance, I don't know what else to say about it. It really sucks. That's all there is to it. The impact for this whole situation for me is that for the rest of the shift that I was on when I heard about his death, a friend of mine sent me the link about half an hour after it was announced. I listened to the entirety of the Black Album and 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge, the 2 albums that Bob Bryar was part of, and those are 2 of my favourites. I will be posting some more silly box videos with me playing some My Chemical Romance songs. I understand that they're not coming from a comedic point of view, but for me paying homage to Bob Bryar. I think this is all I can really say about it, but I would love to have more of a conversation with people in the comments below. And I really do hope that people that are in a similar place to Bob take this as a wake-up call to actually reach out instead of killing themselves. Oh, there we go. There's the YouTube thing gone. Oh well. Honestly, this is quite a big significant event, and for me to even make a video like this is something different. I would never do a video like this normally. Well, honestly, everyone take care of themselves, and I hope you have a good day.